Obey gets to stay in Pro League, at least for another week or two until we head to relegations. But if Obey loses this matchup, they have a long 3 matches to go until they know their fate, because that Noble match is the last one of the day. So what a nerve-wracking set of time that would be. First ban from EG. It's going to take out Maverick, and then Glaz will be banned as well. Glaz is a very smart ban against Evil Geniuses. That makes an awful lot of sense. You've got both Necrox and Geo who can use that role. Glaz isn't really a tool that is brought out by Obey. And Mira being gone is often just a formality here on Oregon. So looking at the way that EG bans, well, they know that they've got an Echo drone that gets used quite frequently by Benji. They know that Maestro comes out as well. I wouldn't be too surprised to see either of those operators disappear. But it's going to be Mute, actually, interestingly enough.
So Mute makes a lot of sense. If Thatcher is banned out, it would be an even better ban than you see it here. But right now, that basically that's going to mean is you don't have to bring Thatcher when you're attacking onto the basement. If Mute is in play and you're attacking basement, then it's pretty much a requirement to bring a Thatcher, and that can lock up a lot of the utility potential for you as an attacking team. There's so many other great operators that you can bring to the table instead of a Thatcher. You don't necessarily need him for anything other than clearing out the Mute Jammer. So no Mute Jammers. And of course, if you're wondering the Mute Jammer I'm referring to right now, it's the one just on the desk inside of Laundry that will deny the drop down in the main lobby. A very powerful one, especially after Habana saw a nerf to her pellets on the drop downs, where you need to have, if I'm not mistaken, 4 detonate in order for the drop to actually open up.
That is correct. Thatcher does get brought quite a bit from Obey when they attack on Oregon, usually in the hands of Adam, but has also been played in the hands of Bosco or Maman in the past. However, as you can see from Obey's lineup, they're going to forego the Thatcher pick. They're going to bring operators that work quite well on every single site here on the map. Also worth pointing out, with Maverick and Glaz being the 2 bans, it's going to free up our favorite feline. Lion is going to be able to get played, and you know both of these teams will use Lion quite frequently, especially Evil Geniuses, who use him quite well in their matchup last week on Villa to absolutely pummel SK Gaming.
Yeah, and you can see Sky is going to be the one to actually be bringing Lion. We all know, not a fan of the operator, as I'm sure as an individual, but he also is a smart player and will bring what you need in order to win. One thing I really have to appreciate from Obey is that Skies is not playing IQ. Really got to give him props for that. We've seen Skies play IQ a number of times, and every single time it seems like they're just not using the operator properly. Skies plays really well when he's playing IQ. No matter who he's playing, he plays really well, but it's not the right role for him. So seeing the man on there, good change from Obey.
This has been a couple maps now, or a couple matches now, where we've seen Skies move off of that and go with a more traditional role for him, because, yeah, IQ is great, and I think that her gun is a big part of why Skies plays her, but they've put my man on that IQ role, and I think they do get more out of the gadget.
Sure.
And, I mean, getting the most out of your gadgets has always been a major mark against Obey.
Yeah. And I want to know how long that's going to last, though, because we did see Skies come off IQ once before and then go right back. So it bounces back and forth. Whatever the case, looks like it's going to be a tower clear onto a north windows push from Obey. At least that's what they're setting themselves up for right this second. They have very efficiently droned out all of tower and meeting hall. You could see just a moment there, you had 4 members of Obey on drones. So they're really looking for the information right now, and they're setting themselves up to go for that repel. No Blackbeard in play, but the Lion is going to force some of these defenders, well, all of these defenders, to stand still. It looks like just to clear out that main lobby. Now, what that tells us is that Obey did not drone out the main lobby thoroughly enough. They could have saved a Lion there if they had just done a little bit of homework, because as you can see, there are no roamers by main lobby right this minute.
And a big part of why EG might have banned that Mute is because they know that Mute is probably one of the most effective counters to Lion, especially on Oregon when you're going to be keeping bodies close to, you know, set parts of the site. If you're going to have them sitting in meeting hall, if you're going to have them playing downstairs, well, Mute is going to protect you from a Lion rush, and this strikes me as EG is going to be going for broke here. Now, speaking of the Lion, he'll be credited with the first kill. Necrox gets down and then finished off by Skies, and as most of Obey assembles by this big double window, NBK was in a perfect position to break one of the small tower windows and go for a couple shots behind. But Obey will flush out Young, and that's an excellent play to take out the Maestro, and now Bosco taking down NVK, but a C4 from Canadian will eliminate my man, and they'll have to grab that diffuser as Obey's planter gets taken down.
Geo from below trying to do as much damage as possible, but he's eaten a lot in return. Canadian might be aware that he has the diffuser down, and he only needs to delay. An excellent shot on a very tight angle into Skies as he attempts to push into Generator, but by the main west window, the diffuser finally going down for the second attempt. Canadian not in a great spot to deny it once more. Playing the angle to the B-bomb, he will lose that fight, and Geo unable to deny the defuse as well. It will be planted. Canadian is salvageable, and you can see that it's going to be an attempt, but not successful. Obey will take the round. Good assertive play from Bosco to deny this pickup.
So Obey coming out all, firing on all cylinders here. Now, kids' dorms, as we've pointed out in the past, and we've seen a number of examples, just because you're down 2-4 or 2v3, you're still able to hold it off as the defense, providing you're in the site. But EG had both of their bodies playing below. So you've got Canadian downstairs denying that defuse with the C4. Excellent job, which is what he's supposed to do. It came quite early. That would have been a round winner if that happens in the final 10 seconds. But it happened with 40, 30 seconds still on the clock there. And then Geo also being downstairs means that not only are you outnumbered and outgunned, but you have to execute a retake on a site that it's basically inverted. Instead of the defenders holding off from the attackers, it's the attackers now boxing you out.
Yeah, and see, the problem with that round was not the roamers, as we so often see the roamers be the flaw in that particular defense for many teams. This time, it was the anchors from Evil Geniuses who were just caught in really bad spots, and not necessarily because of the Lion either. That's the confusing bit. Well, the Lion was definitely instrumental in allowing Skies to push into the main lobby and establish the position he had. It did not hold the defenders in positions that resulted in their deaths. Firebolts aided quite a lot, or quite a large aid for Obey, but ultimately it was just Evil Genius players, the anchors in particular, being caught out, and that's a little bit confusing considering how many powerful anchor positions there are on that bomb site.
I mean, to be fair, Obey were able to pick off Evil Genius's two best anchors as the first two frags. They took out the smoke and they took out the Maestro. That makes it very difficult for you to be able to hold down the site, and you can't really anchor the site when your anchors have fallen and the rest of your off-site players need to try to salvage around.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. But those anchors were caught out in positions that just really didn't make sense.
Yes.
Now, overall, a good attack from Obey, seizing the opportunities that Evil Geniuses presented their opponents with. Now, EG, instead of trying to hammer out that top floor, will opt to go downstairs, the secondary or primary bomb site for some teams.
I mean, I think it's always been a primary until Lion was available. And then it became the secondary to Kids Dorms. Now, Lion is on the board here, so it doesn't surprise me that Dorms was the first site that we went to.
I mean, it's back and forth, you know. It's all based on meta and preference, you know, but it shifts rapidly.
So, meeting hall control is going to be very important for Obey. They were able to take control of the west side of the map and then get small tower as well. One thing that was noted in the USN broadcast on Friday, in which we saw Obey in action against Elephant Gang, it was a pretty tense match and ended up going to the third map. Oregon was not played here between either of them, so there is no sample that we can look at as of late. But Obey was doing a much better job of droning, and that's always been a major issue. The communication, we're used to seeing them drone themselves in. That doesn't seem to be the case right now. They do look like they're being able to put 2 and 2 together with these drones.
Yeah, remember last round, we had a moment where 4 members from Obey were droning their way from tower through meeting hall and attic and through master. They were covering all of the possibilities. They didn't drone the main lobby, but it didn't matter because they were so efficient elsewhere. And it seems to be the same case in this round here. They've managed to wrestle control of main lobby and most of meeting hall, and they're already starting their main laundry push using Bosco, and that's all thanks to excellent drone work.
I don't think they realize that EG doesn't have a Jaeger, because you saw one of that early concussive mines going out from Bosco. Could be done because they were expecting somebody to be playing close to stairs, possibly with a shotgun, maybe a smoke, or maybe to possibly burn the ADS so they could get that Maestro cam. Now, The rush plan is going to go down. A Toxic Babe will get tossed out from Young, and you can see how heavily fortified that second Evil Eye is. A Yokai goes down, and you'll see a down on Adam, and he gets finished off. That Toxic Canister from Young will claim a life for Evil Geniuses. And just 30 seconds to go. They've still got presence up in Meeting Hall. That's where both the Maestro as well as the Doc were playing. So EG has perfect collapse opportunity here, and there you go. NVK working through Meeting Hall. He'll find Skies. And look at that, Bosco collapsing on NVK will try to even things out. Doc is still in there. Necrox peeks around the corner. He sees Bosco. He'll get the easy frag in a 2v4, but Benji from above could be next up for the Doc. Can he get past him? No, it'll be Necrox securing the kill, and my man cannot outduel Evil Geniuses on site, knowing that there's a Doc creeping up on him, and it's Geo to tie things together on a very good round for Evil Geniuses, holding on, and they'll win Laundry Supply Room.
Couple things in that round. First of all, I didn't actually get to see the bolt shot, but that smoke bolt from Benji was ruthlessly well placed. Oh my gosh. It covered everything from the shelf to the adjacent wall. Very impressive placement. Not sure honestly exactly where he landed it. Seemed like it almost landed in midair. No matter what though, props to Obey for planning that out. You know, sometimes teams will just assume, hey, you've got smokes, you're going to be able to get the cover down, and the person responsible for throwing out the smoke will miss their shot every once in a while. But not so here for Obey. So, again, props to them for that. Also, props to them for having a very efficient clear onto the main lobby and isolating that meeting hall, pardon me. But Evil Geniuses just winning out in the frag game. Starting with Young, being able to secure that kill on this downed opponent off of the calls from the Yokai drones. That's why you need to ban Echo on this map. He is so powerful, but Evil Geniuses using that Echo extremely well, and because of that, Obey had a lot of struggle when going for the actual defuse plant. Also, the C4, the smoke canisters, just everything was well placed and timed from Evil Geniuses. As much as Obey were very efficient on their take, Evil Geniuses had enough utility to lock out the round.
There was no real pressure from Obey that happened anywhere. They didn't really clear out Meeting Hall the way they wanted to. They had 2 drones in Meeting Hall at one point, but you could see the entire top of that rear tower, that backstage part, was shot open. You've got to know that somebody likely with an ACOG is playing on either T2 or the main landing between T1 and T2. That's pretty common. There's no other reason why that would be broken. So, I mean, you've got to be cognizant of that. There was no real flank watch. It was what, Bosco in Pantry was the only person watching Meeting. And yeah, he got the frag on NVK, but wasn't anticipating the Necrox would still be there. And then there was next to no pressure on the site players either. And not a single site member went down until I believe it was my man getting into site. And even then, he couldn't get the kill he needed.
They went for the isolate instead of fully clear strategy, which always seems a bit timid, and it didn't work out for them. But man, gonna eat some damage all the way from, looks like Cafeteria, as he attempts to repel in the tower. That's some great coordination for Evil Geniuses, having a peek from Cafeteria while Canadian attempts to hold the top floor of tower. And this position, very powerful considering Obey is trying to clear into tower as their attack strategy is, tower construction push. Canadian has done a great job of wasting a lot of time, and he's going to continue to do so. He might have taken some damage there, but the fact that he's still alive is huge, and it will allow him to get the kill onto Bosco. A tight angle through the staircase, but an angle that Canadian is plenty capable of winning.
That's a tough shot to make. The only way to do that is to grind out as much terrorist hunt as possible with your Spotify playlist going on in the background, and I believe that's Canadian's forte here.
And it's been working out for Canadian. He's one of the top fraggers in North America for this season. I think number 4 right now. Doing
quite well. He's going to have the asphyxiating bolt go off on the shield in front of him, and it's played a little bit incorrectly by Benji. I don't know if Benji has this information. Had taken a bit of a tussle with Canadian earlier on, but more importantly, this Jaeger looking for another. Oh, he'll get Adam with Benji still on rappel. Troy Jaroslavsky with 2 kills up at the top of tower, waiting for Benji there, and I think that's the wise move. You've committed 2 bodies to trying to get the Jaeger. You can't do it. Try to salvage your execute, because if you just keep feeding bodies to Canadian, you're going to have that clock working against you even more than it is right now.
Yeah, pushing Canadian in top tower is a bad push, as clearly demonstrated in this round. And the adjustment from Obey is going to have to be pretty spectacular, but Geo will call out this rotation and also get a kill onto my man all the way from the showers. Great position to be in right now, and he's going to do what Canadian was doing in the previous start of the round. Well, get a second kill. Now it's all up to Skies in a 1 versus 5. Does not seem likely. Vaulting into the master hallway, he's given exposed to twice the amount of players that he can handle and will eventually die to NVK.
Skies just a little bit far off there, and you could tell that Skies was in a position to start the strike on the site. As an Ashe should be, he was there ready to go, but the rest of his team were dying over in the tower. You couldn't have the IQ pull through. You couldn't have the Zofia pull through. You're denied IQ's gadget to be able to figure out where all of the defender gadgets are set up. You lose the Zofia, her destructive capabilities, as well as her ability to burn ADSs, which you saw there was a Jaeger on the board for Troy, albeit that there were 2 ADSs at the top of the towers. That leaves only 1 on site, so maybe not the best overall team utility from the Jaeger there, but you're not helping the site, but that's okay. You're helping the site by living in that tower for 2 minutes, getting 2 kills, and burning off tons of time.
And it was a gamble with the ADSs too. I mean, if Obey had not committed so heavily to tower, then it would have been a waste. But not the case. I mean, Obey invested too much in trying to clear out Canadian, and eventually, I mean, at that point, you lose 2 people and 2 minutes, round's over. I mean, you can rotate as much as you want. You're locked out. It would take something spectacular for one individual player to step up and just tear your opponent apart. And that didn't happen for Obey. Gio was also in a great position to catch the rotation in the cafeteria. Props to him for that. And now we have a tower defense. Of course, only 2 really good bomb sites on Oregon, and that's really been the story for this map for a long time. Tower and cafeteria both are considered off sites. But because Evil Geniuses were successful on the 2 main sites, they will have to go to a 3rd, and Tower is their choice.
I mean, Tower makes the most sense. You just saw how pivotal Tower was to Evil Geniuses. And I mean, when you've got a body playing at the top of T3, which for those that don't know is that the 3rd set on Tower, the 3rd level, all the way on that 3rd floor. As you saw, that's where Canadian was playing. What do? You usually have one person on one window, you have a person on the other window. You've got a Zofia on the board. Put the one Zofia on Repel, you asphyxiate one of the corners, use the Zofia Concussive Blast, and then somebody is usually able to walk away with a kill. But you noticed, you might not have noticed, but if you did notice, Obey had 3 bodies thrown at Canadian, all of whom peaked at different times. You know, Bosco downstairs, I don't think was intending to engage. He got picked off. My man downstairs wasn't even trying to contest the Jaeger. He gets spotted on the stairs. No wherewithal to understand that the Jaeger is up top, not being distracted by Benji. Essentially 3 people, because they were disjointed, weren't able to get an easy kill. And I say easy because we've seen teams quite routinely be able to flush somebody out at the top of tower without expending too much time or gadgets.
Okay, west side clear for Obey, and they've already cleared out the west side. Now they have to face Gio, who's playing just underneath them inside of Laundry. If they don't drone Gio out, then they leave that open to Valkyrie potentially flanking later in the round. You could see that my man is trying to open up a flank hold there onto the Laundry stairs. Definitely wise of him to do so. And it looks like it's going to be a focus on opening up the attic and pushing through the meeting hall. Very dangerous push for Obey, but it can work out. The only problem is it's basically playing right into your opponent's hands. Meeting hall is the stretch of land that can be easily described as no man's land for the attackers in this situation. And it also means they're not going to be able to capitalize on the shallow nature of tower from the outside. Benji, an excellent shot onto Necrox. After cutting open the wall into Meeting Hall, will be able to deny the rotation of the Legion, and that's a lot of traps that will not be useful in this round.
I don't know how much of that was a good shot from Benji and how much of that was just
a bit of both.
Poor aim from Necrox.
Yeah, combination.
Missing quite a bit of shots, and Canadian with the carbine cannot connect. As he sees the body of Obey just run by the stairs, that could have been a very easy kill, and there he goes. He'll get it. There's Adam down in the Soul Heart Breacher, whose significance with 30 seconds left is not that much for Obey. But they have managed to trade off 1 player apiece. The Thermite, naturally, is quite integral, but I agree with you. The Legion was a high priority pick. Canadian still reigning over everybody, lording over the opposition as he makes the top of that tower his home with an ADS situated from above. Actually, all 3 ADSs up there, and realizing the play, he's going to jump down. He's going to go for a run out. Young takes one down. NVK gets fragged, as does Young, and Obey doubles up. There's Canadian coming back into sight, and Gio with the double kill. EG takes their 3rd round in a row in the final seconds. A harrowing return to sight here for Evil Geniuses, but they pull it off.
a confusing push from Obey. It seemed like they were content to push through Meeting Hall and Attic, but they got a little distracted. After getting that initial pick, they then transferred over to Armory and outside of Garage in an attempt to come from the outside of Tower. As I talked about, when you go for a Meeting Hall Attic push, the complication is that you are foregoing all of the easy pressure you can apply from the outside of Tower. And I say easy. It is in the sense that it's a shallow defense, but there are almost always pieces of the, pieces on the board set up by the defense to account for that easy push from the outside. And that was Canadian in this round. He was in a position to easily run out a window and come up behind anyone pushing from that Tower doorway. And he did just that. So the rotation not only cost Obey a player in the transition, but it also cost Obey a player in the actual attack onto the site. Geo was not accounted for downstairs. I believe he came up from behind there or from the Tower stairs themselves, either way, to get those final 2 kills. And it was just a complete lockout once the push came from Meeting Hall. So a lack of force in either lane, and so many people lost on the initial entry. I mean, it was over before it even began.
In the very first round that Obey won, they used Lion, they pinned down Necrox, and I think that's why they were able to take out the smoke very early in that very first round. You look at, it might have actually been Young who was playing smoke. I can't actually recall who was playing smoke in that first round. But anyway, they take out the smoke. They take out the smoke right as soon as the EE1D gets burned. Good job keeping EG in place. You've had quite a bit of difficulty being able to ascertain where the defenders are playing. And then once you do find out where they are, you can't necessarily walk away with the kill as easily as other teams that play against EG. Well, now you've got Lion on the board, but we just saw 2 rounds that very puzzlingly, on Oregon of all maps, Obey forewent, or decided to forego a Lion, and you've got no Mute. Mute is banned. You have every opportunity, ample opportunity, to run a Lion and absolutely abuse the fact that he just keeps everybody locked down. It worked so well in that first round, and then you go through rounds 2 and 3 and 4 without a Lion. Why? I think that's a big mistake for Obey, and it's their final attacking round. They finally bring him back out again, and if Obey gets a victory here, I think it just speaks to a glaring lack of strategy involving what Lion can bring.
Imagine Lion when Canadian's playing on T3 of Tower. I mean, it's over. That is the perfect counter to Canadian's position. But Evil Geniuses, NVK in particular, will start things off in the final round of this first half, taking out Benji. A very substantial kill for the defense, as Capitao, extremely important, especially on a basement take. Not having his smokes is going to hinder this attack no matter how you look at it. They could transition to a back take, but even then, it's going to be a difficult one without the Capitao.
As you noted, the smoke was so well placed the last time they attacked downstairs on Laundry, perfectly in position to cut off all lines of sight to the bottom of the stairs. And the only reason we were able to get it was because the C4 downed the planter, which I believe was Adam, and then the smoke grenade finished him off. So you had all of that working in your favor, but that one Capitao smoke had to bait out what could be your only C4 and then one of your 3 toxic babes. And that is particularly important. And also, don't sleep on the 2 asphyxiating bolts. You can hold a rotation out of closet, and you can hold a rotation out of the hallway downstairs. Now, the Lion is being hunted relentlessly by NVK, who has a 3 armor, is doing his best to work around the map as quickly as he can, but he'll be held upstairs. There you go. Finally, the first EU1D comes out with 45 seconds left. It doesn't really accomplish all that much, but it does allow Obey to take up more ground and situate themselves for the push.
You can see that Obey has transitioned their push. Skies will take out Necrox. That was very narrowly looking like a res from the dock, but not so in this round. NVK looking for revenge as he comes down the main lobby staircase. The rest of the push is over by construction right now, but NVK just narrowly missing the opportunity. Sky's going to be put on very low HP, forced to use his last EE1D or be redundant in this round as the rest of his team pushes through the back lanes. Canadian will go down to Maman, and a team kill from Maman, denying the defuse plant from Adam. That is terrible. Geo with the C4 will miss because it has been destroyed by his opponents, but the wide peak narrowly missing out on kills. Bosco, an excellent double with the pistol. It's all down to NVK. He finally shuts down Skies, but it might be too late. He has to retake onto 2 opponents now. One very low on HP, but Bosco's really been hitting his shots as evidenced previously in the round. And VK peeking wide, his position known, and Bosco hits another one. A single bullet would have felled him, but not going to happen in this round. Obey take it, and they end the half, barely salvaging that.
And all well spotted on that bulletproof camera. Worth noting, we saw it there just for a second at the end. Bosco puts up 3 kills after my man slaughters Adam mid-plant, 2 with the pistol. Sometimes you gotta think, if it's not for Bosco, this Obey team, totally different. He single-handedly resurrects the chances on that round for his team. No questions asked. That huge mistake by my man. What are you doing? You can't... I understand that you have to temper your criticism a lot of times here. But, man, you're facing your possible final match in Pro League. You can't be making those mistakes. If it wasn't for Bosco, that round goes in favor of EG. We're 1 round away from match point, but Bosco single-handedly saves it.
I mean, minus Bosco, definitely Obey loses that round. Minus my man, maybe also Obey wins that round. I mean, he did get the initial entry. Don't get me wrong. I believe it was the Echo he took out towards the main hallway. That is a very important pick. But I gotta imagine there's some, not everybody is gonna get that pick and then go and kill their teammate as well. So a confusing blunder from Obey, salvaged by excellent play from one individual, Bosco, and Evil Geniuses. They still win the half, but not as definitively as we were expecting in that last round.
And I mean, the Lion did play a big role. Sky's using the 2 gadgets. The first one maybe wasn't the most consequential, but it did allow Obey to circle the site. But that second one kept everybody in place. And if I remember correctly, they did even tag the Echo, which is why he repeat and why my man got the kill.
Also, in the main lobby, as an individual, Skies kept NVK pinned for a solid 30 seconds while his team pushed into the site, which is huge. It's the maestro of all operators.
He also got the Doc down as well, who was trying to get back to site and maybe try to help his team playing at the bottom of the stairs because they knew it wasn't going to be a main lobby push. It was from Meeting Hall where Obey dropped.
And see, that is exactly the right operator and right role for Skies. He is so good at fulfilling those positions, and he was on the right role for it in this match.
If you're going to put Skies on flank watch, which he routinely ends up being for this team.
Flank watch slash lurker.
You want to put him on an operator who's not an entry operator.
Right.
You're doing it as Ash, maybe, depending on what you've got working around you.
If you need to retake later.
Having him as Thatcher doesn't make any sense. You need your gadget in the fight. Having him as IQ doesn't make any sense. Lion, perfect opportunity. I think it's a big mistake that Obey didn't bring Lion for those 3 rounds, though, and it could potentially haunt them.
I completely agree. It might be why we see the scoreline where it is right now. All that said, though, they finally transitioned to defense, so it's Evil Genius's turn. They have also decided not to bring the Lion in their first attack, and it's going to be onto the top floor. Obey has a pretty extensive roamer network right now. They've got control of Meeting Hall, 2 underneath the site, so good positions to deny any pushes from anywhere you can really conceive. Evil Geniuses look like they're setting up for a tower north window push. This is exactly what we saw from Obey in their first attack onto the top floor.
Yeah, and I mean, no Lion for Evil Geniuses is a bit strange. We usually see either NVK or Necrox running the Lion. I wonder if this is just EG trying to work out something else, but I mean, that might end up coming back to bite them as well. NVK is gone, but the execute somewhat underway. This asphyxiating bolt will come out for Necrox as both he and Geo were repelled on windows. Canadian downstairs still trying to hunt out the roamers, but he's going to take quite a bit of damage just outside of Kitchen, and the sledge is going to persist. He still has both of his frag grenades available as well, and I doubt that Adam has an ADS down there to possibly catch one of those frag grenades. Necrox on rappel on that window will find my man as he's come off now, heading towards tower, and he's going to invest in Meeting Hall.
And he's trying to hold the rotation into the tower. You could see Jaeger vying for control here. That's Adam. It's a very dangerous angle to be challenging. He's playing with fire, but he's actually gambled correctly. If he seizes this opportunity... Ooh, I stand corrected. Spoke too soon. Young is holding the angle now. It was a combination of Young and Necrox. Now just the Habana. Canadian going to be downed inside of Showers by Lockers. Very dangerous down, but he's not taken out. Geo able to push into the site. What is happening here? The below coverage is not substantial enough. And through the west window, Necrox goes in for a plant and saves himself from being eliminated. Young also taking out Bosco from afar. It's all up to Adam and Benji. They're attempting to retake the site, but they're both going to have to come up from the white stairs. This is terrible for them. Young locking things down and will deny the rotation from Generator. It's almost impossible for Adam to salvage this. He doesn't have time to rotate to the main lobby. He's being shot from above. The Firebolt denying the push up the white stairs, but an excellent shot on the Necrox and Generator. And this is salvageable. Canadian might just be downed. There's so little time. But Skies finally finishes off Canadian in the post-mortem. And it's all up to Young and Geo to hold this out. Adam challenging from the main door, looks the wrong way, and he's finished off. Evil Geniuses take the first round of the second half.
Not a bad call for Adam to check on top of that dresser.
No.
Not at all. You're going in blind. There's no info available for you. You're going to have to peek one way. You look to the left and he's on the dresser. You lose that fight. You look to the dresser and he's playing by the wall over by the bunks. You're going to lose that fight no matter what. An almost unwinnable situation, and that almost directly mirrors what we saw at EG's defense at dorms as well. They had two bodies both playing downstairs. They lost their site presence. You got to retake against the walls of kids' dorms. You got to retake against somebody playing in Generator, and yeah, Adam got a beautiful shot on the top stairs onto Necrox that was playing there. Excellent. But that is as close as it goes. And really, it ends up being as routine as it was for Obey. You see as routine as it is for EG there. And it just goes to show you the way that the site works against retake capabilities. Very, very difficult. We've seen Liquid do it. We've seen FaZe try to do it. We've seen EG try to do it. It's almost impossible for most of these teams in a losing circumstance to come back and retake Kids Storms.
It ties into the same thing that we talk about. We always like to say, oh, it's hard, you know, 2 people, 2v5, 2v4, you can defend that, sure, if you have the right positions. But once you lose those positions as defense, oh man, it's over. It is over. There's particular power play spots on this site, on the top floor, that really lend themselves to whoever should occupy them. That's of course going to be by Generator in the top of white stairs and inside of dorms. And that's it. It's really that simple. You have those 2 spots, you have control of the site. And there's a lot of dancing that goes around them, but that's really what it ultimately boils down to. Now, Obey going to try their luck a second time going to the top floor after not successfully holding it the first time around. This is dangerous. This could put them onto match point. And you got to remember, Obey wants as many points here as they can get, because they right now are in 7th place, but should they draw this and their closest opponent, Noble, win their match against Mouse, then you go into the auto relegation position. You don't want that.
You can hear the telltale signs of the V308 as well from the Lions, so you don't need to look much farther than the top right hand of your screen to see that, of course, NVK is going to be winning, running with that Lion, and it could be a winning formula for EG. Now, they were able to do so successfully without Lion last attack. Now, this is something you can't say for Obey. Both of Obey's attacking victories came with Lion in hand. And like I said, I think it's something that you can look back and say, Mute isn't banned. EG did you a favor. EG banned Mute. You start an attack for 5 rounds. Bring the Lion as much as you possibly can. His presence cannot be overstated.
No matter how you look at it, he's a very powerful tool. You know, whether you like him or hate him, he is important to bring when you can. Even if Mute is left unbanned. Because, yeah, he, in a way, counters Lion, but not really. Not as extensively as would be necessary for him, for Lion in particular, to not be an influence. All said, though, Evil Geniuses bringing him even after winning without him, and they'll be attacking onto the very same site that they did attacked onto last round. A quick push from Canadian off of drone information. The pre-fire goes onto Valkyrie, and he will down his opponent, but he hears opponents behind him. The switch from Canadian, playing the angles, able to get 1 frag in exchange for his own life. And the Lion EE1D will hold those 2 roamers in place, as well as the rest of the defenders. And VK takes out Adam, so even more damage being done to the players inside of Kitchen. An interesting shift of focus for Evil Geniuses, pushing downstairs before upstairs. And they will deal with the roamers before the anchors this time around. And, well, there you go. They've been dealt with. And VK gets the final kill on those roamers. It's all up to Bosco, my man, in those 2 power play positions we always talk about.
And yeah, and I was just going to say, it's a very winnable spot. Now, the only thing for EG is that they have tons of gadgetry at their disposal. They've got Lion. They've got Zofia. They've got Capitao. They are literally stocked to the skills with the ability to flush out both Bosco and Maman, but Maman will start things off. Bosco gets detected, baits it out, plant going down, NVK falls. Geo takes out Bosco, and this is going to be a big issue for Maman. Geo is repelled on Kids Dorm's windows. Maman will have to fight against the diffuser, takes out Necrox, great shot. Will it be an impactful frag? He falls off of that power position, as was noted, and knows that he has windows that he can look through from above through the floor. But once again, hard holding this angle. The man just narrowly misses his shots onto Geo. He's got Valkyrie cams working for him. He'll push inside of Kid Storms and circle around, waiting to see where the Zofia is. Young is prone underneath that generator window. So Maman, the moment he starts to do the diffuse, well, Young will be there, and Geo from the roof gives some covering fire, and that is match point for EG. No victory possible for Obey. This is a bright spot for Noble in their matchup later, but Obey's going to have to fight for a draw if they want any chance of keeping their destiny in their own hands.
Yeah, and, you know, a chance, surely, but will it be enough is really the question. Even if Obey manages to bring this back and draw it, then I still say, I mean, that's now putting your position in Pro League in the hands of Noble, because if Noble wins it, it's done. I mean, we talked about it numerous times. It's so scary right now to be Obey, and you cannot overemphasize that. Oh, Evil Geniuses are fighting for, to an extent, just posterity. You know, they are the team in North America. They have that position, #1, and they're solidifying it here with at least a draw, possibly win if they get any of the next or couple, or rather few rounds. Anyway, Obey going to be going to, looks like, the basement for their third and possibly final defense. This is going to be their first attempt holding the basement, so we can't really forecast it, I guess. But the top floor did not really work out for Obey, and I don't know if the bottom floor is going to change much. Evil Geniuses have the perfect kit to attack wherever they should please on this basement. They have the Capital, they have the Lion, they have the Habana. Mute is banned, they don't need a Thatcher, instead they bring an IQ. Pretty much everything is set up right for EG to take this round. It's almost as if they predicted it.
I hate to harp on Lion so much, but Lion makes defending Laundry Room and Supply Room, especially without a Mute and a Mira. With Mute and a Mira, Lion, with Mute and a Mira available for the defense, Lion still runs rough sod over the defenders.
Yeah.
You don't have either of those tools available right now. This could be a very short round for Evil Geniuses here if they play this correctly, and they have just looked, they've looked strong. They've looked almost perfect, and that was a great way to counter those power positions, as you said. Putting Geo onto the windows to pressure Kids Dorms.
Yeah.
That's a big mistake a lot of teams make. They try to funnel in through Armory or through Generator. They try to push through double window, and they end up losing because you usually have the rotate from Kids Dorms towards big window. Putting Geo on the windows at Kids Dorms was huge for that, and that pretty much won them the round.
Yeah, it was actually a really nice push from Evil Geniuses. I feel like I didn't talk enough about it, but it was a hybrid push of sorts. Normally a team will either push from Master into the site, into Generator, or they'll push from Tower and North Windows. But EG cleared out Tower and North Windows, used those North Windows with Geo lightly. He was allowed to apply pressure and get frags, and then the rest of EG pushed in through Master. Anyway, that was last round. Here we are in this round, and Geo trying to clear into Meeting Hall. The EE1D will force these defenders to stand still, but Geo's missing his shots, and Benji is not allowed to get the kill and then make it down to the site with his life. NVK just not making it in time. Maman will refrag, but not onto Benji himself. It's going to be it's going to be Maman who gets taken down by Necrox. Either way, that was a decent roam from the two players in Meeting Hall. It was clamped down on by EG, but it wasn't a complete loss.
Yeah, it was a little... EG was just a tiny bit off the beat to be able to get Benji there. You know, the Lion went in solo, NVK was able to flush out Benji, but you had the IQ of Canadian not too far behind, but just far behind enough that you couldn't secure that kill onto the Jaeger, who was able to get back to site safely. And yeah, my man fell, but it's a consolation prize when you look at the proficiency of Jaeger's guns and the way that he's now going to be able to just exist and wait for your push.
So this is an interesting rotation from Evil Geniuses, that instead of attacking the main lobby, which they have the kit to do, they're going to be coming from Construction and Tower, which is also definitely a viable attack strategy, especially considering how much EG has been winning their fights. But will it be the right one is the question, because it does bottleneck you substantially. And considering how slow they're taking it, it could be really bad. Obey takes down Canadian. and it's looking to fire up.
Oh, NVK with a team kill! He's gonna miss it! That corner is just falling for everyone. It's just bad luck for the time being, but there it is! Benji able to take out Necrox, and Skies cleaning up NVK will allow that pulse, albeit faint, to continue for Obey. That's a huge victory on Laundry Supply. Even with the Lion, they couldn't put it together on Evil Genius's side, but now you got to go up to Dorms, and it hasn't been successful for you 2 times around. One time, you fell victim to the fact that you had too many bodies playing off-site. All right, course correction, you play the bodies on-site, but it gets thwarted by EG in the second attack. How are you going to figure that out this time? Because I suspect EG's probably going to run a very similar lineup, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Zofia, Lion, Capitao, Canadian, probably on the IQ. There you go. It's going to be a very similar look for EG here, and if they take a similar attack, I don't know if Obey have the tools to be able to stop them.
Yeah. Evil Geniuses have been all over the place with their attack strategy onto the top floor, but in a good way. Always bringing variety to the table, and that is huge for them. I think one of the most powerful things in terms of any team in Rainbow Six esports, the thing that makes you stand out the most is having well-refined variety. Now, this is interesting. We just saw 2 6 picks. We saw the Vigil onto a Valkyrie, and then we saw the IQ onto a Blackbeard, which means, unfortunately for Evil Geniuses, they just got the short end of the stick. Sure, they have a Blackbeard, powerful operator instead of an IQ, but because Valkyrie will be going uncontested by the IQ, those cameras, if they should find themselves in good positions outside, will be a lot harder to find, and thus will give much better information to Obey for much longer. So that is obviously something that Obey could not account for. It kind of is interesting that they 6-picked into a Valkyrie knowing IQ was on the board, but they did, and the IQ's gone now, so good call from Obey, whether or not they know it.
Yeah, the Blackbeard. Oh, man.
Canadian on Blackbeard. That is so weird.
I don't ever think I've ever seen Canadian on Blackbeard, personally. I mean, I'm sure I have, but it doesn't jump to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this roster right now, and I'm thinking to myself, young Blackbeard, Canadian, Habana, you know, it just seems so simple in my mind, but I guess making changes, you know, it works.
You put the Blackbeard either on the Dorms windows or you put him on the big double window. You make sure that you've got the pressure from Generator after Young is able to open it up. You sit Necrox in there. You get MVK to just sit everybody down and fight Obey and make them have to take engagements at angles that you're not they're not expecting. And then there's a Blackbeard there to just do cleanup work.
Yes, because Young is one of those Blackbeards that's really passive. He holds the angle, but he's also one of the best ones to do that. Adam takes down Necrox while we're talking about this. That's Capitao of all operators gone. Adam did eat some damage for that, but no matter how you look at it, even if the Jaeger were to die now, that's a win for Adam and Obey as a whole.
No, plenty of time for a reset as well. I mean, it's a risky proposition with Lion on the board and risky with the way that Oregon plays out. And, of course, as you see, Adam is doing his best Canadian impression, playing at the top of tower there with the ADSs. We saw Canadian do that just a couple rounds ago to quite a bit of success, but there's nowhere near an investment. But, oh, the Blackbeard will not be a factor. Skies is there, and it actually looks like Obey is fired up and ready to go. Young is going to take a chunk of health off of Skies as Geo positioned on that roof where he was able to secure the final kill last time we came on Dorms on the 7th round. Well, what are they going to be able to put together this time around? They'll be able to get the generator wall, and that'll be Hibona'd quite easily as all the bandit batteries were shot out from below. You saw that was Geo positioned underneath, and it's going to be a 3v5. Advantageous for Obey because they are in those power positions, and they have quite a sizable numbers advantage for the time being with not just a piece of utility, but also a very important fragger in the Blackbeard gone. It
would be extremely difficult for Evil Geniuses to salvage this, and I think a big part of that ties back to what we saw, or we talked about earlier. Valkyrie being in play, those cameras clearly are gathering information for Obey, whether we know it or whether we can see it or not. That kill onto the Blackbeard was aided. Now, all of this is looking great for Obey. Evil Geniuses can salvage it, though. They've been known to do it before. It's going to be a tall task, but they do still have 2 EE1Ds to work with. MVK being a little too conservative, I think, with that utility. And oh, no! Terrible timing from... Oh, no! Great timing from Geo! The vault into White Stairs, and he will die to Skies, but he took 2 with him, allowing for positions to be better for his teammates. MVK missing some important shots and will miss some more as Skies takes down Young. It's all up to the Lion. An excellent frag for the Valkyrie. And it's not going to work for MVK. Bosco, the final kill. Obey take another round. and it goes to 4-5.
We're going to need all 10 rounds to be able to put this together, and EG will need to tighten their belts if they want to walk away with the victory here. This is the last round to do it. Geo, a great read. Lion used so correctly, obviously timed so well, catching the cross and rotate back to site as the C4 was being played underneath. And I mean, the Zofia getting 2 kills is huge, but when you take the Zofia off the board and you leave just a Hibana and a Lion, it can't be understated how important those 3 concussive missiles are. And on top of that, you had Adam playing at the top of tower with at least 2 ADSs. You don't really need to worry about burning the ADSs at that point. That could have been really seismic.
Yeah, I also think that the EE1D, while used properly in that situation, he still had one at the end.
Yes.
And it's not really helping very much.
No, that definitely could have been used a lot earlier on. And I don't think, from the setup that we saw from EG, I don't think they expected to lose 2 big pieces.
Yeah.
The Blackbeard would have kept every single rotation held down from dorms over to generator over to the stairs, and unless Canadian got doubled up on or pushed from small tower, that was a great spot for the Blackbeard to play in, but there wasn't much to it. Skies just got a couple body shots in. It looked like possibly from below as he was able to get back in. That was a great play.
Let's touch back on that Blackbeard, because we were talking about him earlier. I feel like Young is one of the best Blackbeards in North America, historically, if you look back. He fulfills that role in a very particular way. He holds the angle. But when Young is holding an angle as a Blackbeard, that is his angle. Canadian was doing just that. He was trying to play Blackbeard in the same way. And I'm not sure that Young playing it would have changed anything, honestly, in that situation. But also we saw a couple other roles a little bit odd, like the Zofia. You're making a push from Master. You need that Zofia by Master to help with the push. I understand you want to put him in a position to, disable white stairs. And granted, Geo did just that. But you touched on it yourself. Because those 2 players were taken out early, there was not enough muscle behind the actual Master push. So once it came out, it wasn't enough despite Geo getting those frags. So it was a little bit of an odd placement of players and positions of operators from Evil Geniuses in that round, and it left them a little exposed after losing so much manpower. All that said, it really comes down to Obey getting those 2 early picks, and I think that is because IQ was not being played, Valkyrie was.
And speaking of early picks now, keep in mind, Laundry is banned, or blocked out rather, so is Dorms now with these 2 successful defenses, which means that 1 point for Obey is all they can muster here.
Yeah.
They need to get it on Kitchen. Now, 1 grenade is going to get tossed in. It's going to hit Bosco. That's Geo unloading. The Sledge has those 2 projectiles available, and there was quite a considerable focus from Evil Geniuses towards the bathroom here. You saw 1 frag grenade. There's going to be the second one. It's going to go out. It's not going to connect. Everybody from Obey will be able to count their lucky stars. But the smoke of Bosco is in a very dangerous position. If Geo is able to just wait patiently, then Bosco is going to have to fight his way out and hopefully land a counterpunch here, as there's 2 members of EG very heavily focusing on Bosco, and they haven't been able to do much to stop him, especially with that deployable shield in his way. Both Geo and Necrox are in a bit of a pinch here.
It looked like Necros was trying to get a bolt through the wall there, but unluckily for him, Bosco's not playing close enough for that to be viable in this situation. Bosco holding up that lockers is important. So Bosco is in the linchpin position. If he dies, Evil Geniuses can establish crossfire on the A site. See where Bosco is holding right now? That is what EG needs in order to push this site. They have the wall open, but it's going to be difficult to plant with Bosco there to deny their defuse plant. Sky is also in a position who will be able to use those evil eyes to deny the plant. So this setup from Obey is very good to deny.
A couple things worth noting. There are 2 Evil Eyes both watching the default plant spot inside a mess hall. The only way you can stop them is NVK with an EMP. He's still got 2 left, okay, but there's no destruction, as unless Geo hits them with his hammer, there are no projectiles to take it. There's no Zofia, there's no Ash. They'll smoke off. You've got to think my man is in a primed position to get a C4 out. A little bit of damage from the Evil Eye will go, and waiting for the toss on the C4. There it goes. Will it connect with the defuse plant? No. Skies will run in. Bosco trades off Geo, and then it's another down from a man. Obey is firing on all cylinders, trying to keep their hopes alive. Benji, a long-range shot. Plant for EG, meanwhile, will tick away, but my man is there. It's a 4v1. Obey desperately needs this point, and NVK will try to come back in, but it's all over. Obey will walk away with 1 point, and it will be a big draw for Obey Alliance. We will wait 3 matches to see what happens in the Noble Mouse match, but Obey really needed a victory here, fell just short, but a draw, that'll do.
It's better than nothing. If it had been a loss, then, oh boy, it would have been scary going up into that Noble Mouse match, but it's all done now.
If Bosco isn't your MVP after that matchup, you're nuts.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely nuts. 10 kills, top frags, salvages an entire round by himself.
At least 2.
At least 2. That kitchen round, by being able to waste 1 minute and 30 seconds, and then getting the smokes off to the default plant spot, while also saving that round after my man team killed Adam. If Bosco's not your MVP, you're absolutely crazy there. He is the only reason I want to say that 2 of those rounds went for Obey, and if those rounds don't go, they walk home empty-handed. So
yeah, I mean, the first half would have been a 4-1 had Bosco not intervened. So excellent job to him and Obey as a whole, but I gotta say, also some mistakes made by Evil Geniuses. They had a curious setup for taking that kitchen. The Firebolt idea, I've never tested that before, never seen it used before, but obviously Evil Geniuses thought it through. It didn't work because Bosco was not close enough to the lockers, I'm guessing. Because of that, and the nades not landing, there was a complete shift for Evil Geniuses. They said, okay, we cannot deal with the smoke inside of lockers. We just have to go for it, go for that push. And it actually worked out. Getting the diffuser down was impressive. One thing also from Obey, the mistake from them is one of the Evil Eyes. There were 2 obviously watching the default plant spot, but I believe one of them was actually stopped by the lamp, which was in its way. The one closest to the default by the couch. We saw the Maestro wide peek into the fuse plant. He got eliminated, and he couldn't deny it. And again, I think that's because his second Evil Eye was just covered. So, there were a couple mistakes from both sides. Overall, a kind of a comedic end there, but Obey just fragged out in the last couple seconds. That's it. They fragged out. They went for the push, and they won.
And it was an impressive performance for those final 3 rounds. They have done the best that they can do given the circumstances, finding themselves fighting for a draw. A lot of people say, oh, well, draws aren't motivating. How about staying in Pro League? That's pretty motivating. So they get the 1 point needed. Like I said, we'll wait until our 4th matchup of the day to see what happens with Noble, as Noble now sits definitively at the bottom, no longer tied with Obey.
Yeah.
But coming up next, we have probably our most anticipated matchup of the day. On the line is a spot in Rio de Janeiro to see whether it'll be SK Gaming or Rogue making the trip down to South America. We'll be back in a couple minutes.